girls as well as stay there. And the girls would do an Easter spring craft with the residents. They would be assisted by staff to help some of the residents come to the area. They would make a bulletin board. Meanwhile, they're interacting with some of the residents, and Heather is going to try to find one of the residents who received one of our sock cupcakes or Valentine's to come and kind of chat with the girls for a few minutes, somebody who's willing to do that. So I think I was just at Olivet's yesterday, and I presented a different project to them, and the girls themselves reiterated to me that they really would like to go and see what they want to see their work. They want to see what they did. So we're really going to work hard to put that in action. Subject to change, of course, everything is, but we'll know in the next day or two, and we'll be in contact with new member. But I would be there. There are several of us that would also be there from community development. So I really do think that our final culminating experience will be really great for the girls. We also, can I just touch on the meeting? A week ago Monday, we had a meeting with the powers that be at Olivet's, the interim executive director, Candy, who oversees many, and yes, Rob Waters, who is the new assistant unit director. And they're hoping that we can actually expand this program. So whoever takes this on next year, they would like to see maybe 3 to 4 of the clubs. We'll talk about all of that. But so my point is, my point is, it was well received by Olivet's and the girls. So, and this is sort of what we're about, empowering these youth. So if they want, if Olivet's really enjoyed it and wants to see it expand to a few of their other locations, I think that's a really awesome thing. So clearly the message we wanted to send, the impact we wanted to make, we were able to do that.
The fact is, Olivet's is begging for more projects for the girls, because they have a lot of themed things for the boys to do. And so this was something that the girls were able to participate in, and they really enjoyed it. And quite honestly, this is really the finale to a rock star job that Kate and Liz did this year. So
and they approached
everyone
me
really needs to give Kate and
Yeah.
Liz stars.
The girls were the ones that kept coming back and wanting to do it. I mean, without the girls, we couldn't have done it.
You guys rocked it. And then, so Letty's gonna give us a quick update on Let's Do Lunch.
Sure.
And the capital trip.
Okay, all right, so Let's Do Lunch. We didn't do it in February because of the Young Women's Summit, but we are doing it again in March. And we have every spot filled except for one. So if you are available on March 26th, and I don't know what day of that week that is. Does anybody know? Tuesday at Southwest. So we need one volunteer, just half an hour, 11:30, 12. So if you are available, I know it's kind of right in the middle of the day. But again, and then what we did this year was just sort of, it's just a conflict resolution. Yeah, Lizzie, all right, we got one back there, okay. So just sign up, and you'll get all the information, and it's really just to chat. The girls have lunch. I don't think we have lunch.
You can take your lunch.
You can take your lunch, but it's just really trying to help them with conflict resolution. So it's kind of open. And I think the only thing we try to say is to keep it to conflicts at school, not, don't make it too big, and they have a lot to talk about. They have a lot, so I think they like to chat. So that's for March, and then.
Do we have any other dates open, or that's it? That's the
For
only
March,
volunteers.
I think we may have some for April, but that was all we had for March. We're just worried about March, right?
Yeah, April 25th.
April 25th, anybody want that spot at Muhlenberg?
So.
Well, it's open, so sign up online.
Yeah.
All right, and I know it's tough. I think at the beginning of the year it was kind of hard because it is in the middle of the day. So if you work, it's hard to get out, you have to take out a half day or whatever, whatever. Even if you don't, it's just hard to, carve out, right, and, traveling in and traveling out, but the girls do enjoy it. So I know that they keep asking, when are we coming back? So we'll see, Amanda, I don't know, if continuing that in the next year, but yes, it's going well. well. And then the capsule, what'd you say?
I don't even know.
Oh, no.
Is anybody dying to hear about the capital trip? I don't know if anybody is. But.
Oh, definitely. No, so it's on the 29th. So it's on the 29th, which is a Friday. If anybody is really, really interested in going, we may have some spots. All right, I got
Take
Lisa.
a couple people.
Okay, we can take a couple people if you really are interested in going, and I think.
Right down Lisa.
So we got Lisa. If anybody else is interested, let us know. And we're just getting the permission slips from the girls to go. And that's I've never been. March 29th. It's a Friday.
You're out, okay.
You're out. Okay.
She was in, but she's out.
All right. If anybody is interested in going and really wants to get there, just let me know. We can sign you up. So.
Okay, thank you, awesome. The last thing that we had to talk about was Summit, and really, I don't need to say a lot about it. I just wanted to find out what you all thought about it. For those of you who attended, did you have any feedback for us that we can pass along when we pass the baton next year? The one thing I definitely want to say is the involvement of the membership and the new members, especially this year, was absolutely stellar. Thank you all for jumping right in with the girls and doing the activities and not being afraid. You guys give yourselves a round of applause. You're doing a really great job. And if you have any feedback for us, feel free to yell it out now or email us, whatever you feel comfortable with. Anybody have anything on Summit?
It's fabulous.
It was, yeah, I mean, I think it was really great, and I think every year it gets a little better, and we have better ownership of it. And I think community development did an awesome job. I think Lydia, in terms of just kind of sending people off to do jobs, was great. I mean, Miriam, it's a bummer she can't be here. She was amazing. How she just stepped in and went with it. New members were amazing.
Yeah, where's the new members?
I think it's.
They're not here?
I think it's hard for us. I mean, this is my 6th summit, and I'm still like, take a breath and get in there. And it just.
Amanda had her first year talking to girls this year.
No, I talked to them. They did, you guys were fantastic. It's overwhelming and hard, and you guys were great. And, but I think it was just a great, you all did a fabulous job, so congratulations. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, awesome, we're done.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Special events.
Lindsay and Alyssa.
Oh, sorry, we're chewing, sorry.
Okay, so we'll be quick. We want to just remind everybody that Touch a Truck is Saturday, April 20th. So we'd like everybody to take out your phones. The Facebook event is up, thanks to Kate. So if you could just like it, say you're interested, say you're going, hopefully you are going, just to spread the word. We did get the flyers printed, so we'll be sorting those out, grouping them into schools. We'll be asking for your help to deliver them to the different schools. And then sign-ups will be up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, by the end of the month, we want to have that up so that you guys can, it is like a lot of manpower. We do need a lot of people to sign up to be there. The jobs are not hard. Funland is just that. It's a lot of fun.
Everybody's favorite.
That's what anyone else says. It's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
Oh, we'll have earplugs.
Very fun.
It's fun.
Loud is fun. We will have earplugs.
Yes.
Molly Mac's son Watson he's breaking out on his own. He's ready to live
Yay.
music with his girlfriend. They're very cute. They're going to be live music.
For those of you who don't know who that is, Molly was in league for like 20,000 years and just went sustaining. It was a huge loss for actives because she just basically did everything. So her son's amazing. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
That he's coming.
Yeah. So yeah, April 20th. There's a rain date of May 5th, which we will not need.
Not neither.
So yeah, so just buy tickets, share it, talk to your friends, and be on lookout for volunteer spots to help us have a great event. Any questions, concerns? trucks that anyone has, that wants to put fancy cars. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay and Alyssa. All right. Awesome. So I am going to introduce our next speaker, our last speaker actually, for the night, which is Vicki Clark. So how many of you have been to a Junior League conference and heard Vicki speak? Yes, great. And how many of you think Vicki's amazing? Yeah. So when I was told I was going to be president 3 years ago, one of my goals, but it was a very high top goal, was to bring Vicki back to Reading. I actually found out today at the luncheon that she spoke at, that was actually sold out. It was a women-to-women lunch. We had like 180 people there. It was amazing. That this is her third visit to Reading, which I didn't know. Many, many years ago when Sharon Phillips was president of Junior League, Sharon and Camille Stock brought Vicki to Reading. Then about 6 years ago when Christy Botterbush was president, you're saying no?
Molly Knack.
Oh, I was told it was Christy. I was told that at lunch today. It was Christy Botterbush.
Then it was another, because, do you remember we went to Allentown? You probably don't remember.
No, I remember that.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
And somebody
It's
went
Molly
down
Knack.
before time. Maybe I live here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Christy Botterbush told me it was Christy Botterbush.
It could have been that year too, but
Oh.
Molly Knack was, she
Got it.
because we did something.
Maybe this is
with
your fourth
Allentown
visit.
also.
I don't know. She's been here at least a handful of times. Let's just leave it at that. She's had a crazy busy schedule. She arrived Tuesday afternoon, yesterday afternoon. She did a strategic analysis, a SWOT analysis for Girls on the Run for their board. This morning she spoke to the Oak Brook Community Council and the Reading Housing Authority and talked to them about dealing with conflict. And that actually was donated by Fulton Bank. So Fulton Bank is our corporate sponsor for our event tomorrow morning. And they, as part of their sponsorship, we gave them, we meaning Voice Up, Junior League, and Girls on the Run, because those are the three organizations that partnered, we gave them a 2-hour session with Vicki as part of their sponsorship. And they donated that to the Oak Brook Community Council, rather than having their corporate team meet with her. So that was very generous of them. And then after that, she had about a 30-minute break, and then she did a session at lunch for women to women for 180 women. And I did see a man in the audience.
It was a man.
Yeah, there
He's
was
the
one
head
man.
of the chamber. Yes, he was the head of the chamber.
No, yeah, there was another one then. There was
Oh,
two.
yes, Tim.
Yeah, Randy, the president of the chamber, was there, and there was another guy. Then she had about another 30-minute window, and then she spoke to about 65 high schoolers at Reading School District with Crystal Harris, and had a great group there. And then she came to dinner with us at Judy's, so we had a nice dinner at Judy's, and now she's here. And then we're gonna get her back to her hotel by 9:30, hopefully, and then tomorrow morning she's speaking at 8 a.m. for nonprofits and business leaders, and we have about 100 people coming to that. So when we first looked at bringing Vicki, Voice Up and Girls on the Run, we had conference calls with Vicki to plan everything, and she said, just use me, keep me busy. I'm there for 3 days, so we have. So she's gonna be exhausted and hopefully sleep well tomorrow night after you're done. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Vicki Clark.
Are you my clicker?
I am.
Okay, great. Thank you all for inviting me back. Happy National Women's History Month. So cool. You know, this is our celebration time. Let me say something about, when I first came to Reading, you all were just beginning your journey around girls and self-esteem and healthy girls. And let me say something, your league was one of the first leagues that went into that issue space. You need to be really proud of yourself, because what you have done is inspired a lot of other leagues to go into what's now called the Junior League Teen Girls Network. And if you haven't followed that on Facebook, you really should, and you should make sure that you put your things up there, because you guys are kind of the mothers of the whole Teen Girls Network piece. And of course, everybody does it differently, but you really should be proud of that. And I think one year, obviously, was the first summit was coming up and all of that. So you are really, you're the moms of that. So what we're talking about tonight, I'm gonna get out of the way so you can see, is the idea of developing the potential of women, which, as you know, is part of your mission, is it developing the potential of women. So let's kind of talk about that and how do we make progress. Oh, and happy birthday. You're welcome. Remind me never to come here during my birthday, because I don't want no number or no cupcake. Yeah, we put no number.
You can keep it to one number.
Yeah, when we put one on mine, they'll know which one it is. So, this idea of honoring the accomplishments of women during Women's History Month, and when we talk about Women's History Month, people always think, we think about, we think about Maya Angelou, we think about Oprah, we think about Madam C.J. Walker, we think about Abigail Adams, we think about, all these things. I want you to think about women that you know. Think about women in this room. Think about your moms. Think about women you work with, because it is really, it's not, I love the amazing women who made worldwide changes, but the way women's lives evolve is this woman to woman, the way we impact each other. That's why junior leagues are so important, because it gives you a chance, and I love your Holler for a Dollar, to give the opportunity for women to shout out for each other women. And so we need to not just do this in March, we need to do this every day. Really, really important. Now, this is an interesting fact, because even though in most communities women are 51% of the population, we're called a minority. I'm not good at math, but I know that 51 is more than 49, but I don't understand it. But we really are about 51% of the population. And the idea of what women have done over time is turned oppression. You say, what do you mean oppression? When the world was not designed for you, and when at one point women were not considered whole people, and women were treated like children for a very, very long time, that's oppression. And so the idea that what women have done over time, including the women who came before me, and hopefully some of us boomers have done it, and you Xers and Ys are still doing it, turning oppression into opportunity. And I think that's really important, and we really do hold up half the sky. I think we hold up more than half the sky, but that's just me. This idea is empowering women is so important. That's why this is the time for Junior League. I would love to see more women in Junior League, because the idea of being in a group of women who support each other, where you can be yourself and you don't have to be fake and you don't have to assimilate, it doesn't get any better than that. And when you change women's lives, you actually change the community. And when you change the community, you change Pennsylvania. And see, when you change Pennsylvania, you change the country. And I'm just crazy enough to believe that when you change that, you change the world. And it's done one woman at a time, and it's done one act at a time. So when you look at your mission, it's all about women. For a long time, leagues were in a schism about, is it about the community? Is it about, it's about women. It says you're a very complex organization. You got all these committees, and you got the board, and you got all this, and then you have your international organization. You all are connected to close to 140 to 60,000 women, age 18 to 105, because sustaining members are members, in 49 states and 4 countries. So you're a very complex organization, one of the oldest women's empowerment organizations in the world. Right now, about 121 years old. We'll talk a little bit about who founded you and a little bit about her. And it's an organization of women. So if you don't like women, being in Junior League ain't gonna work for you. You really have to like women. And you have to respect women. And you have to be okay with women who are different than you. Because we don't all, Junior League used to be, from what I'm told, a very homogeneous group. The kind of, everybody was in Junior League was kind of alike. Well, now, if you've seen one Junior League woman, how many have you seen? One. Because your lives are all different. Your journeys are all different. Your age is all different. Your interests are all different. And that's the beauty of it. Where could you meet all these amazing women other than in Junior League? The next one is committed. Go back a little bit. Yeah. So when you talk about being committed, now years ago, you do realize that this model was designed for a full-time volunteer who was trying to prove herself to the world. She was trying to prove that she could do things in the world that the world wouldn't allow her to do, like handle money, like write books, like have meetings. It was fascinating today to sit there at the chamber. All these women. Do you know that it wasn't until in the 70s that women could actually join the chamber? Or Rotary or any of that. And now who's running most of those organizations? So the idea of commitment needs to be what you can commit. Join the Junior League and lose your mind is not a good recruiting strategy. So what we want you to do is to do what you can. and commit to what you can do, because this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And so this commitment doesn't mean that you have to martyr yourself out, that you have to give up your whole life, that you have to do. What you want to do is commit to what you can so that you can allow this amazing mission to be part of your life forever. And I don't think of this as a mission statement, I think of it as a journey. And everybody in this room is on a different journey. And the idea that holds you all together is this mission. The other thing is promoting volunteerism. You know, women have always been really quiet about bragging and talking about what's good for them and what they did. It is time to stop that. It is time to talk about what this organization does for you, not what it does for the girls. What does it do for you? You wouldn't be here if it didn't do something for you, because you can volunteer for girls in a million different places. This is for you, and how volunteerism enriches your life and what you're learning. The next part of it talks about developing. If you are perfect, you need to leave now. And you don't expect anybody to be perfect, and you don't expect her to be perfect. You don't expect them to be perfect. You don't expect sustainers to be perfect. We are all a work in progress. And you know what? I love your infographic, but the true measure of what kind of lead year it's been is how each of you have grown and developed. What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about other women? What have you learned about how to run a nonprofit? So we all a work in progress. And it talks about potential. Where are the new members? New members?
Raise your hand.
Got new members? All right, let's give the new members a hand. Because the new members have as much potential as somebody who's been in 10 years. See, this is an organization now that values for women for who they are, not for time and position. Because wasn't anybody born when they joined the junior league. None of these women popped out of an egg the other day when they joined junior league. They're full, whole women, three-dimensional, come with skills, come with ideas, come with a brain, just like everybody else. So every woman has potential, whether you just got here or whether you've been in this organization for 90 years. Imagine a place that values all women, no matter what age, no matter how long she's been in. This is like nirvana for women, listen to me. You know, improving the community. When you change women, you improve the community. When you develop, when you take those girls to the Capitol, oh, it's for them. It's also for you. When you do your movie series, when you plan, when you have your fund development, it's all about your development. So you improve the community in 3 different ways. Through your work with the girls, through your own learning and knowledge, and obviously through your other partnerships. And you guys have some amazing partnerships. So you should be proud of that. And then it talks about effective action. Effective action is why we are sitting here tonight in pants drinking wine. That's effective action. Years ago, first of all, we wouldn't be out at night by ourselves. 100 years ago, we wouldn't be out at night by ourselves. We certainly wouldn't be in pants. And we sure wouldn't be drinking wine. So the idea is effective action, because women's lives have changed. Also, the idea of what your issue space is, how you raise funds, what you learn. One of the leagues had as a theme one year, it's not your mama's junior league, but let's make mama proud. And so the idea that organizations evolve over time. That's why you meet at night. Years ago, junior leagues met in the daytime. And you can bet there was some board meeting when somebody said, and they used to call people like Madam President. They don't do that no more. You know, like, Madam President, I think we should meet at night. Somebody says, what do you mean? We don't do that. We don't do that. Well, if people are going to work outside the home, or people are starting their own business, well, if they don't want to take time for league, then they just don't need to. There'd be like 3 women in junior league, and they'd all be sisters. So how effective would it be to continue to overlook how women's lives have evolved? Look at your issue space and your focus area of teen girls. What nobody concerned about teen girls years ago? Girls are going to grow up, they're going to be mothers, they're going to take care of everybody, and that was it. Nobody was concerned about the self-esteem of teen girls. Nobody was concerned about the mental health of teen girls, about teen girls feeling empowered. These are the effective action. The way you raise funds, the way, did this league ever have a cookbook?
I don't know. Did
Yes,
we?
we did have a cookbook.
Okay. How effective would it be if you had a cookbook today? to sell? Why not? Pinterest, what else? Google, what else? Exactly, people don't cook, right. So there was nothing wrong with cookbooks as a fund development strategy, but it was not be effective for the year 2019. So you're going to see changes, and you're going to watch this organization evolve. And everybody in here is a leader. The leaders are not just people on the board. Once you join a junior league, you get grandmothered in, and you get appointed and anointed as a community leader, because that's what kind of organization this is. And you come here to be trained, but you also come here to train, because that's what women do. We train each other, and not this kind of training. We train each other by the way we treat each other. We help each other. We support each other. That's the way we get trained. And you all here because you want to be here. Thank goodness nobody's mother or mother-in-law can make them do anything anymore. We were the last generation that they tried that with, the boomers. We fought it. And Xers, we didn't raise you like that. You make your own decisions. You choose to be here. You are voluntarily here. And that's the beauty of it. And the idea of the purpose of being educational is you have to learn something. So every year you have to be different, and not just 5 pounds up and 5 pounds down and had the baby, got a new job, moved, whatever it is. You got to have learned something. And charitable is not merely the funds that you raise and learning about fund development, but it is also the charity and spirit. And the charity and spirit that you give each other. Because you can't build community out there till you build it in here. On your committees, on your teams, and throughout the league, and across all of your different membership lines, sustaining and active and all of that. So this is the journey that you're on. And I'm glad you're on this journey. I am not a member of a junior league. I will be the oldest new member that the Memphis Junior League has. I've already told them they're gonna need to build a ramp for me, and they're gonna need to put things in really big type. But I travel a lot, and so I can't be a member. I choose not. I'm on a couple boards, and so the idea is that I will be a member once I get off the road. So this, what are you thinking about the mission? I've talked about it word for word, so you have to talk back. What do you think? Yes. Someone?
It's as complicated as we are individually.
Mm-hmm. It's multidimensional. And as women, we're multidimensional. Yeah, it has a lot deeper. Someone else? Mm-hmm. Hi.
I think sometimes we focus a lot on the volunteerism and like doing, things in the community, and we don't always think about ourselves, like the developing the potential.
If all you wanted to do was volunteer, you don't need this. Now your membership group is going, she ain't getting invited back no more. We're not gonna talk to her. Because this is so much more. It's so much more. You get the volunteerism, you get the community piece, but you get the training, you get the camaraderie, you get the leadership development. It's just a win-win-win. Let's go to the next slide. This idea of the junior league having a commitment to diversity and inclusion. Do you know that when leagues were founded, you couldn't join a league if you were 39 years old? It was founded in 1901. The average lifespan was 55. That's before penicillin and all the things that we have now. So 40 was pretty old. So you didn't need to be joining anything. I guess you need to be getting ready to go. I don't know, but the idea. But you don't have that anymore. You don't have that anymore. So that was the first, I think, when you talk about diversity and inclusion, age diversity. Age diversity. We meet at night. That was a diversity and inclusion strategy. So that people who had different lifestyles and who worked in the daytime or ran businesses or went to school, so that they could do that. So you've been on this track for a long time. You may not have talked about it as diversity and inclusion, but you've been the league has been evolving to be more inclusive of more women and different types of women. So the idea of welcoming all women who value the mission. That's all you have to do is say, I want to go on this journey, and who value the mission. And being committed. And you all, again, your partnerships are very diverse. And that is really one of your strong points in the way that you work with other groups in the community and the way you are valued. If you heard today the way the people at the chamber talked about this league, it was you would be so proud. You would be so proud. So this idea of diverse individuals, organizations, and communities, your relationship with Fulton Bank, all of that. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. And I'm now an honorary Red Knight because I was at school. It made me an honorary Red Knight. I didn't know that they were Red Knights, but so I'm an honorary Red Knight. So let's go go to the next one. We're challenged. All of our communities are challenged. The world has changed. The community I live in is challenged. As women, we are challenged. The idea, though, that the challenges that we face, nor the opportunities, because we got lots of opportunities, because our challenges are nothing but opportunities are the number of challenges turned upside down. And so the idea, by any one organization, sector, or gender alone, men can't fix all this. Because if they coulda, they woulda, but they can't. So now here we are, trying to work it out and trying to develop, and you all are working on that next generation. I met a little girl today over at Reading High School who has actually gone to the state capitol and testified about gun control. She's 17 years old. She's 17 years old. Keep your eye on her, snag her for junior league. I'm serious. She did a youth march against gun control. She's about this tall. She's an amazing leader already. So the idea that we have to work on these challenges together. All about women. Like you said, sometimes you get focused on the community piece, but you forget about the other pieces. So it's all about women. So let's talk about these 11 strategies for developing the potential of women. Talk about it. First of all, we got to get to know ourselves. It's really important. When I was growing up, nobody said be introspective. Like, oh no, don't think about yourself. You know, that's not right. You're not supposed to think about it. We need to think about ourselves. We need to think about who we are. We need to recognize some of our good characteristics, and we need to work on some of our negative characteristics. We need to also positively value ourselves, no matter what the world is telling us about our age or how we look or how much money we make or what degree, whatever it is. We've got to explore and trust our own emotions. And what do we want? And it's okay to feel. It's okay to feel. I always talk about the difference in the generation. Boomers will cry at the drop of a hat. We will cry and we'll laugh so hard that we'll wet our pants. You know, that's the way boomers are. Y'all were raised, probably a lot of you, by boomer mothers. Xers, you kind of uptight. You know, something funny, you go hee 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 hee. Like, girl, you better laugh. You know, you hurt, you might as well cry. It's okay. You gotta explore what's going on with you. And if you feel like it, share it with somebody. So we want to improve our knowledge of ourselves. We are not our jobs. We are not our degrees. We are not our marital status. We are more than that. For hundreds, I guess thousands of years, women have been defined by outside things. Whether you were married or not, how many children you had, all these types of things. People define themselves as I'm somebody's mother or I'm somebody's husband. If you look back in your Junior League of Reading membership, you won't find the first names of women. Because women, it will be Mrs. John, Mrs. George, Mrs. Charles. And that's fine. That's not, they didn't have a choice back then. You have a choice today as to who you want to be. So we were basically individual. So that was the way women were taught to define themselves by somebody else. The good news is now we need to define ourselves by ourselves. By who am I? Who do I want to be? And what fulfills me? And I got to be okay with my own thoughts, my own feelings, and my own actions. Again, self-define. Don't let nobody else define you. And don't let a job or a degree or anything else define you. You are a complete and human person. I told the group today, and some of you heard, there's this article that just came out, talked about the invisibility of older women in American society. So basically, I don't exist. So I don't know why I'm up here talking, because I really don't exist. I'm not here. But it just talks about how society in America, because a lot of this is cultural. You do understand that in other societies, the older people get, the more exalted they are. But we're a very youth-oriented society. And so what happens is as women age, we start to disappear, if you will. And I think that's why it's so important that women of all ages are in Junior League. Like I said, they have women up to 105. And we need to break down some of those silos and have more people who are in the older aging groups come together, no matter whether they're sustainers or whatever. There's one league where a mother, a grandmother, and a daughter all joined the league at the same year. The grandmother was the new member of the year. She blew him out of the water. She's like 60-some years old, and she blew him out of the water. So the idea of self-defining and trying non-traditional behaviors. I would bet many of you had people said, why are you joining Junior League? You did what? You gonna do what? Maybe this is non-traditional behavior for some of you. And so it's okay to have non-traditional behavior. Complete human person, don't need, it's fine that you got people in your lives, it's fine, you got husband, partner, whatever you got, it's fine. But that's not the definition of you. And that's really important. It's okay to have power. Power used to be a dirty word for women. Because if you said women were powerful, then they gave the B word to you. You know, it's okay. You need to feel your power. You really need, that's why I'm so glad that Captain Marvel is a woman. I can't wait to see that movie. I have not seen that movie. I saw Wonder Woman, but I haven't seen, but Captain Marvel is a woman. I'm just so excited. You know, my oldest son, they are into Comic-Con and all that kind of stuff, and he's saying, I said, how do you feel about Captain Marvel being a woman? And he said, well, I think it's okay. And I go, good. He's got a wife. She was sitting right there. He wasn't going to say nothing else. And of course, he knows how I feel about all this. So whether he don't like it or not, you know. So the idea that we're personally strong and that it's okay to be strong and that we need to be assertive. Again, if you want a raise, ask for a raise. We were scared to ask for raises because we were just happy to have the jobs. If you're not happy with a relationship, you need to say that. Whether it's a friend relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, whatever it is, you gotta tell your truth, and you gotta be okay with your own power, and you have to be self-governing and have a positive self-image, and that is just really important. And a positive self-image doesn't mean that you look like somebody on television, and it doesn't mean, you know, sometimes I watch that show Botched. It's an interesting show. I like the ones where the people have been disfigured. I mean, that sounds terrible that I like the ones where the people have been disfigured. But I mean, I like, because when they're really helping people, but when those people come and they want to look like Barbie, or they want a butt like J-Lo, you know, or something like that. And I'm glad sometimes they don't do those surgeries. I think it's very interesting the way those doctors, when they talk to the people about what they're doing, this idea that we need to have a positive self-image. We want to be as healthy as we can, but we need to have a positive self-image about who we are, no matter our weight, our size, our age, our hair, and all of that kind of thing. So this idea of owning your own power. And you can own your own power without being mean and just showing, you know, the power. My mother was a very powerful person, but she was about this tall, but she was extremely powerful. And I think, you know, and for a long time, I didn't want to be like my mom because she was one of these no-nonsense people who would just call it, you know, she would just tell you about yourself. And the older I get, the more I'm like my mom. And you know what? I'm coming into my own. You like, lady, do you know how old you are? Yes, but I'm finally coming into my own. Because it's okay that I feel what I feel, and I will definitely call it. I do it with love. She just did it because like, hey, you, straighten up. And sometimes I think maybe we need a little bit more of that in this world now. Let's go to the next one. You got to be you. We need to take the mask off. I don't have to be like anybody else. I have to be me. You have to be you. It's okay. If you're doing something you like, so what about the criticisms? I told the people today, I watch SpongeBob. I like the Avengers. You know, stuff like that. People are like, you're a little bit old for that. You know, I like Turner Classic Movies. Next time I come, I hope you invite me back. I will wear my SpongeBob earrings. One has SpongeBob and one got Patrick on the other side. If you don't know who they are, Google them. It's just something fun that I like. I watch RuPaul Drag Race. I wouldn't have told you that years ago because I would have thought you wouldn't have thought I was a professional. I'm just me. And I think everybody needs to be okay being you, whoever you are. And if the people around you don't accept you for who you are, you need another tribe. You need another tribe, and we all need a tribe. So the idea of what it is, the daily practice of letting go of who you think you're supposed to be and embracing who you are. I raised 2 boys. I was an only child. I ain't know nothing about raising kids. Nobody lets the only children babysit, by the way. So I had no experience. They think we're going to drop babies on their heads or something like that. So I didn't have any experience with children. So I was trying to be this perfect mom. Oh my gosh, it was so stressful. First of all, I wore a bra for 18 years. Because I was thinking, I don't think boys should see their mom's breasts sagging and swagging. So I wore a bra for 18 years. Then I went around the house labeling everything because I wanted to make sure they were literate. Table, chair, wall. Everything was a teachable moment. We at the grocery store. We in the car. We take a trip. We watching television. Everything was a teachable moment. When Survivor came on, let's look up in the encyclopedia back then, and let's look up Samoa. And my youngest son, who always spoke, says, "Mom, can we just watch the TV?" Like, no, I want you to learn about other countries. So exhausting. Oh my gosh. Honey, I am totally me now. I can flip this bra out the side of this shirt in a minute. When I get to the house, people say if I do a little webinar or something, I got pajama pants on and I will slap some lipstick on, and that's about it. And don't ask me to stand up. You seen that commercial where the man has his box? That's what would happen if I'm on the phone with somebody when they do Zoom and all that. I'm like, oh man, I'm just me. And it feels like a weight has been lifted from me. I walked around for many years trying to be what I thought people wanted me to be, or what I thought I needed to be, because I was representing all the women. Then I was representing all the Southerners. Then I was representing all the black people. And then it just got so, oh my gosh, I felt like there were weights on me. And so over the years, I'm tossing them. I'm throwing them all off, and I'm just me. And if hopefully you accept me for me, and if you don't, you got to work with it. So this idea of being authentic. And that's why Junior League is important, because you ought to be able, instead of saying, I have to go to a Junior League meeting, you get to go to a Junior League meeting where you can come here and take that mask off. You probably don't want to take a bra off here, but you can take the mask off. Because during the day, wherever you work, you may have to put a mask on. You may have to be a certain way, but you don't need to be that anytime you're with Junior League. Then this idea of your own creativity and the diversity in your thinking. And how do you use anger? Because my mother was so forceful, I was like, I'm not going to be an angry person. I'm not going to be an angry person. There's nothing wrong with getting angry. Sometimes you get angry, and that's okay, as long as we don't hurt anybody else. But this idea of how do you use your creativity and this personal freedom and this personal identity, that your creativity is very different than anybody else's creativity, and so is mine. Physical strength. I was telling the kids today that when I grew up, it was like, ladies don't run. That's why this girls on the run thing is so fascinating to me. Because what we did for physical education was we square danced and wrapped a maypole. My gym suit never got dirty, because that wasn't during the time when girls were supposed to do anything. Then President Kennedy came along. Oh my gosh. President Kennedy said every child in America needed to be physically fit. Well, by this time, I'm in high school. And the idea that President Kennedy wanted me to run around the gym, do sit-ups, do pull-ups, climb a rope. And I'm like, wait a minute, we all had to do this. We did not understand. Boomers and World War II women did not understand that we needed to be physically strong. We need to be physically strong. We need to work on exercise and whatever it is you do, dance, swim. That's not the messages that we got. And that's why you see a lot of older boomers, we got balance issues, we got a pocketbook full of medicine. No, really, because we were not taught, to take care of our bodies. And we were not taught to be physically active. I remember that rope. I had a mean gym teacher. She was mean. She had been in the Olympics, and she lost, and she took it out on everybody. No, she did. She was mean. And she wouldn't even call you by your name, your first name. And she had this, Miss Floyd, President Kennedy wants you to climb this rope. Well, I had never climbed a rope before in my life. So I'm trying to get up the rope, and I ain't ever been a small girl, okay? First of all, my boobs were in the way. I'm trying to climb this rope, and you gotta wrap your legs around this rope and all this kind of stuff. And then I got dizzy, and the rope is swinging, and I'm swinging, and I don't know what to do, and now I'm holding on to the rope for dear life. And then she's using that S-fly, like Bueller, and she called, and then she goes, are you just gonna hang there? Then I start crying. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get down, I couldn't go up. And I'm just swinging and getting dizzy. And then she yells up, the president is disappointed in you. I know. And you wonder why I need therapy. President Kennedy didn't know nothing about me, but that's the way she put it. So finally she got somebody to help me down. And then she gave me a D. She gave me a D. The reason she didn't give me an F was because I did get up the rope, but I couldn't get down the rope. But again, we didn't know anything about physical strength. So we need physical power. We really do. We need to have strong limbs, we need to have strong bodies, and we need to move. However you move, and we have to take care of ourselves and our health. This idea of equality, we got a long way to go. We made some strides, but we got a long way to go. We got a long way to go. We're not there yet. And so we cannot give up. That's why I'm so glad that you're taking the girls to the Capitol so that they understand how this all works and how they have to speak up for themselves and for things that they care about. I will be in Washington, D.C. late next week talking to people in Congress about diaper need and menstrual equity, and about the need for sanitary products in schools, and about the need to remove taxes. Do you know that diapers and feminine hygiene products are taxed like jewelry? You want a bracelet or you want a tampon? You decide. Because men made the rules. So the idea is we are going there to talk to Congress people to try, there's a bill, it's not gonna pass this year, I know that, but our advocacy people have taught us, you just got to stay with it. And a lot of the states are changing the laws about feminine hygiene products and diapers and things like that. We got to try to get equality. I don't think the men meant any harm. They just didn't understand. And so the idea is that if we're going to get equality, it's going to be because we're going to get it. And we're not just going to get it for ourselves. We're going to get it for all the girls that come behind us. Economic independence. You know, you guys are boomers. We weren't good at that. You guys are much better at how you handle your money and to put money away for, you know, your retirement and things like that. But it is really important to be financially self-sufficient and economically independent, even if you're married. We still have to understand finance, and we still have to make sure. A friend of mine's mother, her father was a doctor, and they lived nicely. They didn't live, you know, extravagantly, but they lived nice. Her father died in 1975. Her mother just died 3 years ago when she was 93 years old. If she hadn't had 3 children, I mean, there's no amount of money, unless you're like super rich, that would last for 30 plus years, almost 40 years. You see what I'm saying? And her mom was always, she was she was a stay-at-home mom. There's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. That's fine. But she didn't have there was no plan. The good news is she had 3 children who loved her a lot. But she lived almost 40 years beyond the time her husband lived. So this idea of making sure that, and demanding equal pay. Ask for the raise. You deserve it. We didn't. We talked about equal pay day, April. In the same field, women have to work, white women, until April to make what a man makes in the same field. Women of color till September. We need to call this unequal pay day. Even in careers where women have primarily been in nursing, in administrative assistant, in teaching, which were mostly women's jobs early on, men still outpace them in their economy and what they make. I don't want men to make less money. I think women need to make more money. And I'm so glad that you all are not afraid or ashamed to ask for it. This idea of mutuality in relationships, and not just romantic relationships. If I ask you to close your eyes, every one of you can see a friend who drains you. She will call you and talk to you for 2 hours about something that's going on. And if you try to call her, she's like, I'm busy. I'll call you back. That's an uneven relationship. It doesn't mean that you don't love her, but the idea that we let people drain us, and then they go off and they're just fine. They just go off and they're fine after we've put them back together. So we need some mutuality in relationships. We don't ignore our friendships. We don't let anybody else take control of our lives. We don't act needy or insecure. And when we get upset with people, if they're really our friends or if they're close to us, we don't need to be passive aggressive. We need to just ask for what we need. And we also don't expect any one person to meet all of our needs. You really don't, because we got to have a friend for this, and we got to have this person for this, and we got it, and that's okay. That's the tribe. And so the idea that our relationships are based, and our relationships with work, with our friends, and even with our family, based on mutual respect, understanding, and cooperation, and that we all grow. freedom from oppression is so important. We started off talking about oppression. And whenever you see women being oppressed, whether it's in job market, whether it's in life, we have to speak up. We got to have freedom to move. We got to have freedom from choice. We need to have freedom from male and female violence. I talked to the kids at the school today, and girls have become very combative. And I talked to girls and boys today. Girls have become very, very combative. Nobody needs to be attacked. And we have freedom to express our ideas and opinions without constraint. I may not agree with you, but I need to respect your right to feel what you feel and own that. So this idea that I don't need to be in a place where I am oppressed. And it's really important for you able to speak up and say what you feel, but you also have to allow other people to say what they feel. And you can say, I don't agree with you, but I really respect your right to think that and to feel that. And that's really important. And we don't let things polarize us. We can think many different things about all kinds of stuff, and it's okay. We got to use our political power. I am so glad to see all those women, I don't care what side of the aisle they're on, in Congress. I'm so glad to so many women legislators in the states, women mayors, women county commissioners, women on boards, and you just got to step out there and just, you know, and it doesn't mean, no, are there crazy women? Yes. Yes. But the idea is that we need our chance. We need our chance to make rules, to make laws. There's a, going back to talking about the menstrual equity, a prison board in one state, mostly men, decided that all women in the prison get 12 pads a month. Yeah. Like, first of all, I don't know how they came up with that number. Like they were giving away a box of donuts or something. I'm not sure. And the people who run the prison, the women, the matrons, and the prison director have said, this is a bad issue for us. People need to have as many pads as they need. It's a hygiene issue. It has become a bullying issue. It has also become a black market issue. Because if I don't use my 12 pads, then now I'm leveraging those pads. Like in those old movies when the gangsters used to do it with cigarettes and things like that. And so the idea that some men who don't know jack about the way our bodies work make some universal decision that all women get 12 pads a month. So this idea of political power, political is not a dirty word. The idea of how do we make decisions to exercise our voice and have the power to influence the decisions being made in society. It's really important. Getting people to vote, voting ourselves, not throwing our hands up. I know some of you are like, what is this voting about? It is important. It's really important. So please use your political power in any way that you see fit. This idea of developing women being so important, and as he said, it's the only thing that determines whether society is strong and harmonious. Women are really the backbone of society, and we always have been. We always have been. We just have not been recognized for it. That's why we have to recognize each other. We need to stop all this. Where all this mean girl stuff coming from? Mean women. Girls weren't born mean, and it's not just because they're watching the Kardashians or the Real Housewives. No, they hear us. They hear us talking about somebody else. They hear us making a comment about somebody's hair or what somebody is wearing. You don't have to unscrew another woman's light bulb in order for you to shine. We don't have to undo anybody else in order to. Why can't we all shine? And so it's important to not be petty and to not be catty and to really not undo other women. You got to look these challenges in the eye and wink at it. That's important. Women have done that for a long time. And a lot of times women did it through the back door. You know, people say, well, she was already in charge. You've heard men say that, you know, she was the one in charge, but she didn't have a salary and she didn't have a title. Families, whether it's your nuclear family, whatever, you couldn't do it without women. This is Mary Harriman. She founded Junior League, and there was something about Mary. And Mary was a curious girl. So the first thing you have to be in Junior League is you have to want to learn. Mary wanted to learn about the immigrants who were coming in through Ellis Island in New York. And people kept telling her, don't worry about it, Mary. You don't need to learn about that kind of stuff. Because, see, she was a girl of privilege. Why'd they send girls to college in 1901? Find a husband. But see, she took it seriously. And she was studying about society and everything. And Mary got her girls together. I don't know how she did. She couldn't like text them and all that and say, hey, let's get together. I don't know what she did, but she got her girls together. And they went down to Hell's Kitchen in New York, and they weren't calling it Hell's Kitchen because Chef Ramsay was throwing shrimp around. This is where all the immigrants were being forced from all these countries. No services, no schools, no hospitals, no sidewalks. It's 1901, okay? And Mary and her friends went down there to learn. So the first thing you have to want to do in Junior League is learn, not do. And they went down there to learn. Imagine these girls who were going to Barnard College went down to talk to some people who didn't even speak the same language that they spoke, and who would put everything on the line to come across the ocean, and they said, we came to learn from you. Wow. That's what Junior League is all about. So the idea of you're the change agents. One woman can change anything, but many women can change everything. And you know that, we can. Don't worry about these people not smiling. People can smile. I think in pictures probably until the late 40s, early 50s. If you go back through your grandmother's old albums, you probably won't see people smiling until the late 40s or the 50s. These are two women who started the women's suffrage movement, Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. And all they wanted was for women to have the right to vote. That's all they wanted. They weren't trying to move a mountain. They just thought women should have the right to vote. That meant that women had a voice in society. Well, they had a convention. Imagine having a conference of women in 1848. Oh, talk about radical. Nobody did that. So they were already in trouble. You know, some of the suffragettes went to jail. They didn't even have women's jails. So so they had this convention in Seneca Falls, New York, and they got some other people. They got Lucretia Mott. They also, they got some men to help them. They had Frederick Douglass to help them. Because if anybody knew about being suppressed, it was Frederick Douglass. And so he helped them. And they had this conference, and all they wanted was equal rights with men. You got to read this. This is too funny. When I talk today about why women, and look at that. We ain't going to smile because we serious about this. So they created the Declaration of Sentiments that says, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Does this sound familiar? That all men and women are created equal. That they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. This all sounds familiar. The history of mankind, now this is where the girls went a little wild. The history of mankind is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations on the part of man toward woman, having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over her. They wrote this. He has withheld from her rights, which are given to the most ignorant and degraded men, both natives and foreigners. Woo-wee. Can you imagine if they had Twitter back then? The men would have been tweeting like crazy. Resolved that it is the duty of the women of this country to secure to themselves their sacred right to the elective franchise. They wanted to vote. It took 72 years. And after they read that out loud, only 100 people signed it. I think that whole part about the ignorant and the natives and all that turned some people off. But 100 people out of the 300 that came to the convention signed it. It took 72 years. Whatever you're fighting for, don't give up. Don't give up. Somebody once said that leaders plant seeds for a tree whose shade you won't sit under. So you don't know what seeds you're planting, and you may not see the tree, but you got to know that you're planting seeds. This was amazing what they did. 72 years. Let's go to the next one. And then it was only some women. Women of color still didn't get the right to vote. 1920, 72 years. We think 72 minutes is too long. When our computers don't pop up right away, we go, what's the matter? What's the matter? 72 years, and these women stayed, and they got new women involved in this movement. Then the second wave of advocacy came in the women's rights movement as part of the civil rights movement, because civil rights and women's rights is the same thing. The civil rights movement was mostly about people of color, but it was also about women. And the idea that the civil rights movement brought white women and black women and all kinds of women and Hispanic women together for the first time. It was fascinating, because that was something that hadn't happened in this country before. And there were many, many women who were in the civil rights movement. Now, were they out front, other than Rosa Parks and a few people? No, but they were very involved. But at that time, a woman-led movement, you can bet it wasn't gonna work. But women were very involved. And they have this book called Women in the Civil Rights Movement, and we get to know who these unsung and these hidden figures were, if you will. Then in the 1970s, the Equal Rights Amendment. Now see, they didn't start talking about ignorant people and all that. This is very simple. The Equal Rights Amendment said equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Now you think no brainer, right? It failed. Men didn't kill it. You know who killed it? Women. It pitted women, women pitted themselves against each other. The women who wanted the traditional lifestyle said that the women who were going into the newer jobs and into the workplace were trying to kill the family. The women who wanted to go into the newer jobs and get the different degrees and have a different life said that the women who wanted the traditional lifestyle were setting progress back. If we had been smart, we could have bridged that and come together. And we wouldn't have to have equal pay day. This was over 40 years ago. Some states are now passing it. I don't think it's ever going to come up again. It won't be in my lifetime. I hope it does come up where it becomes an amendment to the Constitution. You would look at this and say, who wouldn't vote for that? But it pitted women. That's why we got to stop struggling with each other. Just because my life is different from yours, we all got something in common that we all win. And all the women who come behind us. Never ratified. Didn't work. We have to advocate. We have to talk. We have to write letters. We have to go to state capitol. We have to go to DC. We have to know who our Congress people are. Mainly just letting them know who we are. Just letting them know who you are. Just letting them know what you think. We got to get back in the game. You remember that Schoolhouse Rock, I'm Just a Bill on Capitol Hill? Sometimes you need to watch that to learn how bills are passed. We just got to get back in the game. You know you can do this. What issues are important to you? The first time we went to DC for about the diapers and the diaper tax, it was the day after Comey got fired. Didn't nobody want to talk about diapers. I mean, they're very nice, don't get me wrong, but nobody want to talk about diapers. Second time we went, there was a snowstorm, and the government was basically shut down. So we talked to anybody who was there. So I'm just hoping that next week when we go, that everything is fairly calm and that we can have, really good discussion. But we have to keep speaking up and out on issues that are important to us. And we got to advocate for other women. I love Dr. Zeus. He says, unless someone like you cares an awful lot, nothing is going to get better, because it's not. And sitting at home screaming at the TV and talking about our friends and putting it on Facebook is not going to change anything. That just makes us feel better, temporarily. But it really doesn't change anything. This idea, the strong women are the ones who are building each other up. They stand together when times are rough and laugh together when there's no reason to. And that's the strength in women. I think it's time for everybody to come together, whether you're in junior league or you're not. That's why I love your partnerships with the school, with Girls on the Run, with all these other girl-type programs, that it is time for women of all ages, all backgrounds, all relationships, all identities to unite, to come together, to make this world what we know it should be. Not only for us, but for the girls who come behind us, because we owe that to them. And the people who started opening the doors, the people who were before me that started opening the doors, I owe them. And I owe you all, because you all have done a lot. And to be fair, you owe me a little bit too. And then we owe something for my granddaughter, and we owe something for all these girls who are coming, and all the girls that haven't even been born yet. And that is why we must unite. And that is why we must continue to develop our own potential. And that is why Junior League is so important in your development as a woman leader. Right? You got your tribe. You got 150,000 women in 49 states and 4 countries. And because of your phones, and I was digging through my purse, I don't know where my phone is, I'll find it, don't worry about it. The idea is you can talk to any of them at any time. And they are there for you because you are connected by the power of association. And all you got to do is talk to Sensei Junior League, and it is immediate connection no matter where you go. And you got to have somebody else's back, and you got to make sure that you're in somebody else's tribe and that they have your back. Wonder Woman is not a character, it's a mindset. If you think you Wonder Woman, you Wonder Woman. My friend Carolyn has fibromyalgia. She has pseudotumor. She doesn't have a tumor, her brain thinks she has a tumor. She's on a walker. She's taken care of a special needs son for over 40 years. She Wonder Woman. She is Wonder Woman. Carolyn has fought for everybody. She still fights for us. She fights for people with disabilities. She's taken on Methodist Hospital. She's taken on the state of Tennessee. She is Wonder Woman. She can't walk without a walker. She blind in one eye. She Wonder Woman. She ain't got no bracelets. Can't fit in the suit. But she's Wonder Woman. It's a mindset. And I don't know how Carolyn got so strong. And she about that tall. She rescued me from a bully when we were in 7th grade. Carolyn was like 4'9". Why am I so proud about these little people? And I mean, I woke up this height when I was 11. I went to bed at 1 and then I woke up and I was like, what? What happened? And I went to a new school and I told the kids about that today. And this girl had me backed up against the lockers. She said to me, nobody wants you at this school. Because a lot of them had been together since 1st grade. And she said to me, nobody wants you at this school. And I came from a school that was near the housing complex. And she said, you came from that project school. We don't want you at this school. Now, I've always been a big girl, but I always been a big scary girl. So she had me backed up against the lockers, and she's telling me how I'm gonna make your life miserable at this school. And you might as well go back to that project school. Oh my gosh. And this tiny little person, anybody know what a beehive hairdo look like? Okay, Carolyn had a lot of long, thin hair. And I think she thought that if she wrapped it all up on top of her head, that we would think she was taller. Exactly. So she always had her hair wrapped. She looked like a cone head now that I think about it, but we didn't know the cone heads then. So she had all this thick hair wrapped, and she walks up. I didn't know her. And she says to this girl that's got me backed up against the locker, what are you doing? And she says, that's that girl from that project school. We don't want her at this school. And this little tiny person says, you don't run nothing here. You don't run this school. I'm like, who is she? She says, you don't run this school. You better leave that girl alone. You don't even know that girl. So she slinked away. And I'm still scared. I'm still standing up. I'm braced up against the wall. And I'm crying. And she looked at me and she said, what are you crying for? And I said, because she hurt my feelings and she told me that I didn't need to be here. And she said, wipe your face and come with me. And we've been friends forever. And we still are. And she still plays that same role. When there's 5 of us that have been friends since middle school, and when somebody gets down, we call her. You would think that we'd be trying to help her. We do try to help her, but she's the one that gives us the strength to go on. It's a mindset. It's not a suit. Wonder Woman is a mindset. So stay in touch. Happy National Women's History Month, and thank you so much.
Does anyone have any questions for Vicki or any comments?
Has anyone seen my phone?
Has anyone seen Vicki's phone?
I can call you.
No, it's around.
You think you left it at the restaurant?
No.
Okay. Okay.
I was sitting here digging through my purse, and I thought they were coming over. But I'll find it. Thank you all so
Thank you,
much.
Vicki.
Congratulations on everything that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All right, holler for $1. Anybody have any money to give out? Or post it to hand to anyone, to congratulate anyone?
Oh, I got $1. I'm gonna holler for $1 for the junior league of Redmond.
Woo!
I am going to holler for $5 for the junior league of Redmond.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna
Steph.
call for $1 for all of Brittany did to bring Vicki here.
Yes.
This is just me, what's up and goes around. It's all of us. Woo-hoo! Daphne. Oh, you found it!
I'm very sorry, I think I've got 80 cents here, but I.
I didn't give her 20 cents. Wait,
Well, I gave my last dollar to the Girl Scout.
Oh, yeah.
So, but community development and summit, it was
Amazing.
absolutely amazing. Absolutely.
Makes you want to come to more meetings, huh?
Yeah.
I've got 5 for community development for young women summer, so I'm covering your
Thank you, Lisa. Anyone else? Any other holler for $1? All right, any announcements? Woo, Jess.
Dues, I'm sorry to
to be the bearer of bad news, are due Friday. So if you haven't paid, you can write me a check tonight or mail one to headquarters, or you can pay online with a credit card. Just go to our website.
Thank you. Other announcements? Amanda?
Dues, and also, if you wanna add on $15.32 for our lovely headquarters as your contribution this year, that's awesome. Also, last call for spring social. We need to know, with money, by Friday, really Thursday, if you're coming to the wind down, and it's a gift. If you're coming, it's a gift, please let me know. But if you're really coming to wind down, I need to know.
And you have to pay.
And I need your money.
Yeah.
Or Jess needs your money.
Yes.
Drop it
You
off
need
the
to tell Ben and wind down how many people are coming. It's artisan cheese and wine pairing. It's gonna be fantastic. We're gonna have a private room on the side with a history part. It's gonna be great. So we hope to see you all there.
Yes, yes. The reason that we're asking that you pay when you RSVP is because we ran into some problems with the social back in December. People said they were coming and then they didn't pay, or they said they were coming, they didn't show, and there was some issues with there. So we do need your money and your RSVP together. You can just leave it in Jess's mailbox at headquarters, or you can email her and then drop off a check, whatever. But-
Or it's $36 you can pay tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Other announcements? Megan?
If anyone needs a name tag,
Yes.
it's $23. The money goes to Jess, and then please email me. My email address is in Brittany's email this week. Let me know exactly what you want on your name tag. We're gonna order those the first week.
I send an email to you.
Okay,
You can forward it to me.
Woo!
I added a lockbox to the garage.
Woo!
So you don't have So, you don't have to walk all the way to headquarters to get into the garage.
And the code's the same, I'm assuming.
The code is the same.
Same code.
Yeah.
The secret code, right?
Yeah, it's secret. We've been using the same code for like forever, for everything. Yeah, for everything. Any other announcements? Stacy?
We just want to update you a little bit with our new member project. So some of our new members are going to talk, I'm going to give you a little bit of lowdown on their ideas. So we're going to be working with the Reading Rec Center. They have a group of about 70 girls who are in this girls leadership group. And in talking to the people who run the group, the girls are super interested in careers and looking forward to their future. So what we want to do is kind of a modified career fair where we're gonna not do just like a big, auditorium type. We're gonna do more of like a small group conversation where we have people with various careers come in and talk to them, kind of more of a one-on-one conversation. And as the new members, we're hoping that we can be the facilitators of it and help them reflect on it. And we're hoping the active members can help us by coming in and talking about their careers and being able to speak to a group of maybe 4 to 5 girls at a time. And the dates are April 24th and 25th. It's going to be from 5:30 to 7. And we'll be sending out a survey that tries to get availability and people can say what career you would be comfortable speaking about. So if you can help us out, we'd appreciate it.
Is it at the Reading Rec Center at 3rd and Spruce?
There are gonna be like 4 different locations.
Okay.
So we can send those out,
Okay,
but around Reading.
okay. And if you can send it to me so I can put it in the weekly email?
Someone from our group will send it.
Awesome,
Okay.
great. Thank you, that's awesome. That's great, actually great to hear, because I will tell you that, going all the way back to, I think Rachel Kuhn, Christy Turpingo, Christy B, every president since way back then has met with Reading Rec, and we've tried to figure out ways that we can partner. So, and Daphne and I met at Reading Rec, and, I think, we've all been having conversations with them, so that is exciting, and that's awesome. And that's another partnership for Junior League, which I think could end up amazing and turn into something fabulous. So thank you, that's a great project, I'm excited.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
$36. I left that out. Did I say that?
Oh, for the social?
I said how much?
I did. I got
Jess
you.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yes. Yes. All right, any other announcements for the good of the cause? Okay, yeah, then you're adjourned. Have a great night.